All right. So this is my presentation on guns on campus, aka student carry. John Chiacchiere. All right. So starting off with the central issues, it mainly comes down to just having guns on campus or not. So like every topic, each viewpoint comes with its own positives and negatives. And what this slide will be doing is showing you some of the main arguments and claims that each side really looks into when talking about campus carry. So the people that are for concealed carry, so on campus, they think that it will give the student a certain sense of comfort on campus, knowing they have something to protect them other than pepper spray, bear spray, something more, or a taser, something that'll give them more comfort. In certain instances, it gives the student a chance to stop an active shooter, thus preventing what could have been a horrific event. This is mainly an extreme, but still it does happen, and I think it is, my opinion, it is a good thing. And that firearms aren't the only potentially dangerous item on campus. So I was reading this article and it was talking about how different chemicals from science labs can be used to create bombs and all this stuff. And when you really boil down to it, firearms aren't the only potential dangerous item on campus, but they are, and they can do damage, so this is why it's debated. Moving on to the other side, guns on campus, they can lead to an escalation of violent crime. This is shown in data all throughout the world. They can lead to an increased number of suicides by college students. I was reading an article again that showed that the ages from 16 to 22 are like your most vulnerable mentally, and college definitely can take a toll on a lot of people, and it can definitely show. So this can increase the number of suicides. It's possible the gun might go off by accident randomly. Now it's sad that if this does happen, but it does, and people do get hurt from it. But yeah, so if you own a gun, you just need to make sure that you're taking good care of it, know exactly where it is, know how to use it, know how to work it, and so on. And with the dorms being vulnerable to theft, it could be pretty easy for someone to steal an unintended firearm. I mean, it's not so far-fetched. People steal laptops, people steal phones, people steal clothes, shoes. What's going to stop them from stealing the firearm? All right. So, some central issues and relevant definitions. Just concealed carry in general, it just refers to the practice of carrying a handgun and or other weapon in public in a concealed or hidden manner, either on one's person or in close proximity to them. And the ability for a student to conceal carry on campus varies. It varies a lot state by state. So when I did my research, it was kind of hard giving a concrete definition because somewhere like New York is going to vary so much more than somewhere in Texas. So I just wanted to get that out of the way now. Three different forms of campus carry, and you'll see this in my next slide. Mandatory, institutional, or non-permissive. And like I said, I'll give you more about that next slide. As of May 2017, 10 states allow campus carry, while 20 states plus DC ban campus carry. And the first states to legalize campus carry were Colorado and Utah in 2003 and 2004. So, laws in various universities regarding student carry. So, 10 states right now, mandatory means that guns are always allowed, institutional means that campuses can choose, and non-permissive means that guns are banned from campus everywhere in the state. So 10 states believe that you should be able to carry guns. You should be allowed to carry guns on campus, no matter what campus it is in that state. 24 states believe should be institutional, which meaning campuses can choose. So for example, I know Pennsylvania, a lot of campuses do ban them, but I believe Millersville allows you. That's one of them. And Bloomsburg, I believe. Those are the two main ones that do allow you to carry on campus. So I thought that was interesting. And 21 states non-permissive. And a little note that I have, wondering why numbers greater than 50, because there are 50 states, because some states practice both. So, like I said, an example, Washington, state of Washington, every school is considered institutional, which means you can choose, except for University of Washington. They are the lone non-permissive campus in the state. Although they do still allow you to conceal, it's under very, very, very strict permission from authorities. So this is my timeline. I basically, so since the gun laws and campus carry are so vague state to state, I wanted to do my timeline on something more concrete, which is um, just guns in general and all the acts and firearm acts that have just been brought up over many, many years to finally get where we are now. So, starting it off, 10 Amendments, Bill of Rights. The Second Amendment, right to bear arms, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security for a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Just saying you should have the right to be able to protect yourself, to be able to have your own gun, to be able to the right to bear arms. Moving all the way to 1934 is the National Firearms Act, the NFA. This imposed a tax on the manufacturing, selling, and transporting of firearms and all kinds. 1938, the Federal Firearms Act required gun manufacturers, importers, and dealers to obtain a federal firearm license. This was very big because you have to be regulated. You have to be able to show and prove that you have a license to do what you're doing, which I think was very important. Fast forward to 1968, the Gun Control Act. This bill banned guns that had no sporting purpose. Sorry, it says "mo," but it means no sporting purpose, and imposed age restrictions for the purchase of handguns 21 years of age, and and a lot stricter licensing and registration, which in nowadays is what the biggest debate is. What's the gray? There's a lot of gray area when talking about guns. If how tight should the regulations and licensing be and registration be versus how loose, how easy, how hard should it be to get a gun? There's a lot of gray area in that, and that's where a lot of the debates come out. All right, so moving on to 1986, the Firearms Owner Protection Act. It allowed licensed firearm owners to sell at gun shows and in their state. This bill mainly helped protect the common gun owner. 1993 was the Prevention Act. It requires that background checks must be completed before a gun is purchased from a licensed dealer. 1994 is the Violent Crime and Law Enforcement Act. This was the ban of assault weapons, and they're still banned today. So it outlawed the ability to manufacture, transfer, or possess a semi-automatic assault weapon unless it was lawfully possessed under federal law, and this still takes part today, and it is very hard to get a assault weapon, a fully automatic assault weapon. You can still get semi-automatics and you can still get single fires, but it's very hard to get and regulate a fully automatic weapon. And then in 2008, this was a case that just protected the individual's the right to keep and bear arms with unconnected services. This was the District of Columbia versus Heller. I think I have a slide at the end, my citations, that has a little bit more about this. But moving on to family perspective, as a whole, it was a controversial topic. It had been brought up over the past decade plus. If you decide to look into it, I just want to warn you, just do your research, know what you're using. They're very dangerous weapons. Growing up, there were guns in my home, but my dad made it apparent with the rules and regulations, so I never had any accidents. I didn't, get too curious. Like, he taught me well. I knew exactly what I needed to know, and everything was good. For having guns on campus, can be a little different. I believe you can 100% disagree with someone, but about the use of concealed carry, but in the end, having the right to protect yourself in this ever-changing world is becoming more and more useful and helpful. And I think having the right to protect yourself is a must, no matter where you go these days. Overall, it's a topic that can raise a lot of questions and concerns from all different kinds of parents and guardians. One thing people can do is look into what colleges are offering the right to conceal carry and also look into the positive and negatives that may come with this. So, vulnerable populations most likely to benefit or be harmed by guns on campus. When doing research on this, like I said, it's very hard because populations and gun laws change throughout the states. So this was just a general overview. So what I found were the females, um, handicapped individuals, weaker individuals, and elderly on campus is a little rare, but these were the most likely to be victims on campus, and studies back me up that more females than males are victims of and are more vulnerable on campus due to any kind of